Hi everyone, I hope you are doing well on this Sunday. I just thought of making a very quick video to give a particular piece of advice to all people who have invested their hard-earned money. I see this very worrying trend of very small companies, starting to share a lot or show very good numbers. And we are at that stage of the bull market where every single person who might have a listed entity is going to ask themselves what can they do to create market cap. And many times the answer to this question may not be to grow the business, but rather to do shady things or hanky panky. So you might see a small company which suddenly starts doing conference calls and giving extremely bullish targets, saying that we are going to increase the revenue 10x in 3 years and things like that. Now the interesting thing about investing is this kind of hunting ground is extremely remunerative. So it totally makes sense to evaluate such opportunities, but one has to be very careful about not investing in them without the proper due diligence, without the proper process, and if anything, to double and triple their process. And the only way to really separate the wheat from the chaff when it comes, especially when it comes to these small companies, is to do what I call as a sampling of the network of the company, right? The suppliers, the clients, the competitors, the employees, the ex-employees. So it's essentially trying to understand how much merit there is to the kind of statements that these people are making. Many times the kind of statements they make will not add up. For example, there are companies which might say in their con call that they are running at 80% capacity utilization, but they are going to double the revenue the next year based on a green field for which they haven't yet even raised money, right? In this case, you must ask yourself how it is possible that in the span of a year, you're going to raise money, then you're going to acquire land, then you're going to create the civil facilities, then you're going to have the machinery installed, then you're going to hire the people, train them, do validation, and then finally sell and do all of this within a year and double the revenue. So I mean, the preponderance of probability is against you in such cases. And another thing I wanted to add is that profits and even cash flows to some extent which companies show are simply a figment of a person's imagination. Companies can often try to have a setting with their auditors where they're trying to manipulate those numbers to their advantage. In such cases, one has to be very careful, and the only way to do that is to again do a extreme amount of due diligence, look at the auditor, look at other firms that they are auditing, if at all we might be able to catch hold of that auditor, things like that. So essentially what I'm saying is, especially towards this late stage bull market, I'm not going to say last stage because God really knows how long a bull market can last, but the point is we have to be exceedingly careful and 10x our efforts on scuttlebutt. I saw this company which, based on a recent quarterly result, it felt like it was at a price to earning of 1, primarily because they had a very high profit this quarter. That made it sort of noticeable to me. And then I started reading more about the company, and many things didn't make that much sense. But the thing that really gave it away to me is that they had some paid news articles where they were sort of quote unquote like sort of blowing their own trumpet too loudly in those articles. And the kind of client names which they had mentioned in those articles, you can actually go to a website called Tofler and then look at the financials of the clients to try and figure out if the client has the wherewithal to give those kind of orders. And some of those clients with a balance sheet size of, like, let's say roughly 0 were giving 30 crore orders, $30 million orders, and all of these just seem like totally like you can't trust these things. So in such cases, it's very clear that there is an illusion of a high risk reward, but the risk reward is actually not very high, it's actually very low. And even though it theoretically or like on screener it might seem like it is at a PE of 1, but that PE of 1 can become PE of 0.1 or 0.01, and you can lose all your money, because it is possible that either there is no business or the existing business is being overstated dramatically. And I am not taking any names, because see, it's always about balance of probability, right? Even in companies which I've studied, it's possible that there's no hanky panky, they're like wonderful companies. And I don't want to, put anybody on the spot. But the general thing is, we have to be extremely due diligent towards this end of the bull market. Okay, everyone, have a nice weekend. Bye.